This is an FLR on rings, upper body push. We still call it level 1 because it's still a straight arm upper body pushing activity. I'm going to instruct a number of these folks to try to play around the position, make it feel like it's a good position for them. You can see I like using multiple different folks because they all have different strokes and different ways of getting into those movements and positions, different body weights, different arm lengths, and I'd like you to see the variation. And here's Big Danny with long arms and a massive upper body weight ratio to lower body weight ratio. And he had done some upper body pushing that day with a 20-minute piece, some heavy deadlifts and some strict handstand push-ups, so it's a good challenge for him. But even he's a good example of it. He's done a lot of FLR on rings, but to try to find control of it takes some good cueing. So a couple things you have to think about. Number one, the classification of the exercise. It's a straight arm pushing activity. That's also unstable, so it's not a closed kinetic chained activity. If you want to progress people from a straight arm pushing activity in different ways, whether it being structural work or an aerobic activities, I'd much prefer you go from the floor to do it with great positioning of the scapula and spine. It's just like our push-up test in FLR in level 1. We're looking at two main things: right to left instability or differences in the scapula, and lumbar extension. But I'd want you to gain stability first in the closed kinetic chain from the floor, maybe even doing some upper body pushing activities in an open kinetic chain with dumbbells before you get to this unstable position, unless they can show, you know, basically what Kurt's doing right now in a great position of those two things which I talked about. Remember, it's an anti-lumbar extension exercise and an anti-retraction exercise where the humerus wants to get pushed up into the joint, and basically what you want to do is activate those stabilizers and joint movers around the joint to push that humerus down towards the floor, and that means obviously that the upper body is going to rise. So in different people you'll see different positions for what they need to be challenged on. For Danny, pretty much it's, you know, it's core control around the pelvis, rib cage to the pelvis, because he likes to get into lumbar extension. Not in Kurt's position. You can see with him he has no problem with that, and it's not necessarily body weight ratio. So you're looking for two main things, remember. A really solid, you know, packing position in the shoulders and right to left balance on each side. You want a little bit of external rotation if possible in the hands over time. I'm okay with internal rotation from the start to get people controlled. And you want to have that great alignment from pelvis into ribs and then pelvis to knee, and to pack that. And Amanda, being a gymnast, she jump in here, you can see with her neural control she'll get into the correct position right away. So you can see how even through her mid-upper back with control, the movement, she does a lot of that control through her midsection, where she can lever that out relative to her body weight, and she has great control around her midsection for her previous experience in gymnastics. And it's pretty much the position you're looking for. If you can model that, it's always great to see good people do it, because then you're trying to look for that exact position when you get into it. And that's the whole thing around it. You want to train. I train people to do it. I'm putting Gabby on here too, because when she first started, to see if she gets into it right away. You can see that right there. That used to be her consistent previous positioning of the movement, but I'm cueing her. Amanda's cueing her bum. She wants belly up and in, so I'm cueing core control basically for the thoracolumbar fascia, and that's going to, you know, tighten in with serratus and lats around the shoulders, and also the glutes are going to tighten up and straighten out those hips. And for her, she used to get into a lot of lumbar extension with the movements she did, and she's got a lot better control of that over time. So good learning on her part, even for someone who's been training for a number of years. And you'll see it with Carrie as well, that they just normally jump into that position when people want to load up through their ribs and load up through their back, and they forget to create some good control. So Danny's done a pretty good job of it here after a number of cues, but he said he learned a few things today. I also did an above view, because if you remember the prone row exercise we did with Danny, you can see he has a hyperactive right trap, and that right side you can see splay out a bit. And now if I watch from behind, you can see what happens when people have that overactive right trap that's coming into play as a stabilizer on the right side. You get them loading up one side more than the other, and that's what you can see just in that movement. If you want to pair these, which is important to know, the front meridian less for accumulation is best done at the back end of most workouts, because it's generally low CNS fatigue. It has a low overall, you know, a low dependent piece to it. You can do opposing pulling actions with it. So if you wanted to pair it at the back end of a structural workout like a C1, C2, then front leaning rest with any kind of prone row, or a front leaning rest on rings with any kind of retraction activity, or supine pull up would be, a ring row would be a great idea, because they're opposing actions. You can do it for metabolic efficiency, but also to ensure correct motor control from each of the opposing muscles. I also love putting them at the back end of workouts for accumulation, because it could be a core exercise. As you can see for Carrie, watch watch when, as soon as she jumps in, for her it's mainly a core exercise. For others it can be an upper body push. So see how she extends to the back in order to gain control. And so we make her walk back a little further so her arms are almost perpendicular to the floor, so you can challenge that interior recruitment a little bit better. And then she could still, yeah, she did a little bit of a glute cue that made it a little bit better there for her, but that's a much better position than when she started. You can put these in the back end of the workouts and just say FLR accumulate 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and you can create progressive directive or progressive linear loading based upon that in time sequences. I also love putting these into constant tension aerobic pieces, so 12 minutes FLR, 30 seconds, farmer carry, 50 meters, jump rope for 30 seconds, and just keep people moving. I think it's a great way to do constant tension aerobic work. I love also challenging people in aerobic pieces and doing rowing that's fairly challenging for about a minute, and then going into this and going back and forth on that. It just makes people control their breathing through the diaphragm, and also breathing control, why they have to control that pelvis and ribs and core. And I think that's really important for fitness, especially where people lose that control when they get under tension. So a great spot to put that would be in those areas, either by itself at like the letter D or E at the end of their weight training setting. You can put them into aerobic sessions like MAP 7, MAP 6, constant tension pieces, and then you can put them into high cyclical pieces like an airdyne or row on front end, finish with an FLR, rest a minute, and go back and do the other piece again, because it makes people work on their breathing with that control. Just remember too, it's an unstable situation, right? So we're not going to put people who are just rookies right into this. We want them to gain, you know, closed kinetic chain control first before we get into this unstable situation. And just remember how it's paired with other exercises, and you'll do well to practice this. And in all cases, practice it yourself first before you start practicing with other people. And 2 things we're looking for is scap control and a good spinal alignment, and then you got it locked in. Enjoy.